Hi. Welcome to the Rooted Podcasts. And let me first start by saying Happy New Year. Welcome to 2026. I think it still feels surreal saying it like, oh, we're in 2026. But yeah, welcome to 2026. I pray that it's a blessed year for you. And I pray that the joy of the Lord is always manifesting in your life all through this year, in good times and in seemingly bad times. Amen. So that aside, I want to say a big thank you to everyone who was part of the Rooted podcast last year. I started this podcast on the 7th of November last year, 2025, and I didn't know how things would be. I wasn't sure of so many things. I was skeptical. I was scared. I was definitely scared. I was shy a lot of the time, but God would have me do it, so I went ahead, and of course with the support of my friends and family, community, I did it. And here we are in 2026. This is actually the 10th episode, the first double-digit episode, like milestone, clock it. But yeah, I'm very, very happy about that. I want to say a big thank you to all of you who have been listening to the episodes, all of you who follow, all of you who have your notifications turned on. I'm saying a big thank you to you. I'm saying a very big thank you to you. I do not take it for granted. I know time is such an important thing. You know, literally you can use 15 minutes an exam to determine whether you're going to pass or fail an exam. So the fact that you can give me some minutes of your time each week, listen to my episodes, I'm grateful is what I'm trying to say. I'm really grateful. Some of you, I would see you maybe share some of the episodes, maybe you'd say something. Some of my friends would tell me, oh, somebody shared an episode, and I'm like, oh wow, like people are actually being blessed by what I'm saying. I mean, that's the goal, but it's still surprising. Someone was even telling me that she was listening to an episode, and after she listened to the episode, she prayed for me, and I was really touched by it. There was an episode I actually wanted to say, oh, I would love it if you all would pray for me whenever I come to your mind, or if it comes to your mind, just say a word of prayer for me, like, Lord, help this boy. Lord, continue to strengthen him for the work that you're using him to do, and things like that. But I was too shy, so I didn't say it. But I think I'm saying it now. Please, if it comes to your mind, just say a word of prayer for me. I'm a man at best, so I run by the strength of God. So yes, but again, I'm really grateful to you all, to all of you. I love you all so much. If you could see me, I'd be blushing. I'd love to meet some of you. Again, if you ever feel like you want to ask me something, or maybe you just resonate with an episode, you can always DM me on X, on IG. You can always DM me. I'll try and like put a link to my handles in the description of this episode. I think I would do that, because honestly speaking, I don't remember my handles off head. So yeah, that's that. And if you're new here, maybe you're joining us in this year, I want to say welcome to the Rooted Podcast. Here, timeless biblical truth is brought in a way that is real, that is clear, that is heartfelt, that's edifying, and I hope that is your experience here. I want to encourage you to stick around. 2026 is loaded. There are going to be a lot of interesting things that will be talked about here. So yeah, stay around. I don't want you to miss out on that. So join us and be rooted. So anyway, today's episode, or what I want to talk about. So funnily enough, this was about 2 months back as well. I think around the same time when I started this podcast actually. So God made me realize that I had made comfort an idol. It was a hard pill to swallow, but I knew, I was sure of it, that I had made comfort an idol. He was using the whole story of the Exodus to just explain some things to me, which I'll explain in a bit. But I want you to imagine this, or I want to like explain something, I want to make something clear. So there's one scenario where maybe a person is an addict, and they, of course, they have an addiction that they're dealing with. So it's like they know that the addiction is affecting them all of a sudden, but they know that getting out of that addiction or dealing with that addiction will require them to leave their comfort zone, and because of that, they just stay with the addiction. So it's like they want to leave, but because of the discomfort it will cause, they don't leave. But the thing is, in that case, people are around, like if a person is really dealing with an addiction, eventually it will become clear to those around them that there's an issue. So in such a situation, we can say, okay, you know what? You've made comfort an idol in that situation. It's like you're so comfortable with the situation that you don't care what happens. You don't care how bad it is for you. There's that. And it's quite easy, not quite easy per se, but it's somewhat clear. You can tell that, okay, you know what? This is a situation where you are allowing comfort to hurt you. Then there's another situation where you're not doing bad. You're actually not doing bad. Like if a person sees you, they'll say, oh, he's doing fine. But maybe deep down, you know that there's room for more. You know that you could actually do better. You know that there's more potential inside you. There are expressions of you, or there are sides to you that have not seen the light of day. But for different reasons, they haven't. One of those reasons is the discomfort that it will cause. Like you just know that if you're going to have to put yourself out there, you're going to have to discomfort yourself. You're going to have to inconvenience yourself, and because of that, you decide, I'm not doing so bad after all. In fact, some people even try and cover it up, and it's like, oh, I'm trying to be content. Again, there's one angle to it where, oh, some people are so ambitious, or push themselves so much. It's like, oh, they want to do this, they want to do that, and really it's just their own ambition under. But then there's also the case where you know you're actually capable of more than you're doing now, or you know that you can be more than you are now, but because of the discomfort it will cause, you decide not to go ahead with it. There's that situation, even though you're not necessarily doing bad where you are. And that was me. So, you know, it could be sometimes when I say comfort sometimes might be the security that you have, because sometimes doing some things will require you to do it scared. So the security that you normally have where you are, you no longer have that security. You're doing something that you have not done before, and all of a sudden you're scared. In fact, in some situations, it's almost like God gives you a vision, and it's like you want to manage things for God. Like, what if it does not happen? It's not God they're going to laugh at, or it's not God that they will look at somehow. It's me. And because of that, you kind of close. And I really hope that everything I'm saying makes sense, because a part of me is like, I don't know, maybe people will not get it, but I really hope that you get it. But the point is, you're just comfortable where you are. And because of that, maybe there's even something that you know that you can do, but you procrastinate. Like, not every case of procrastination is really about laziness. Sometimes it's fear. It's like, oh, I'm scared of doing this thing. And because of that, you procrastinate. Point is, comfort becomes a god. And that was what happened with me. So I said I was going to talk about the whole Exodus, Israelites, Egyptians, Promised Land, and all of that. Point is, the Israelites were in slavery for years, decades. They were in slavery. And so God hears their cry, and he's like, I'm going to send you a helper. He sends Moses to lead them. That's the Exodus, to lead them out of Egypt. And so he's taking them to a promised land, a land that is filled with milk and honey, to normal common terms. But in order to get to that place, they have to go through a wilderness. It's tough in the wilderness. It's not comfortable. And all of a sudden, when things get tough in the wilderness, they say it was better when they were back in Egypt. I need you to kind of see the parallel I'm trying to draw. Maybe there's a better version of you ahead, but because what it will take to get to that version will really discomfort you so much, you're willing to stay in Egypt. This was what was happening with the Israelites. And I think part of what makes it more difficult is the fact that you've not yet gotten to that version, or you've not seen that version well enough. It's like the Israelites. I think if the Israelites had seen the promise, and if maybe, for example, they saw the honey, or they had a sample, I don't know how better to say it, if they had a sample of what the promised land would be like, maybe that would motivate them more to go. But I think even at that, I think they were quite an interesting bunch. Human beings generally. But maybe that would have motivated them. But they didn't exactly have any, all they could go off was the fact that God was leading them to a promised land, a land that had milk and honey. That was all that they had. And maybe it's like that with you. There's this vision that you have, but it's not tangible enough. And so because of that, you're like, do I really want to discomfort myself for this? And so instead of going through the wilderness, you stay in Egypt. And this was what was happening to me. This was something that God was making me understand. So try and pause and think, is this you in any way? Are there probably potentials or things or aspects to you that probably should have surfaced by now, but because of the discomfort it will require, they haven't, or it hasn't? So it was making me to understand this about how I need to leave my comfort zone. Sometimes you have to discomfort yourself. Like if we look around the world, literally, the butterfly, first of all, has to, not the butterfly, sorry, the caterpillar has to, first of all, I can't remember the biological term, but I know it will end up being in a sort of cocoon before eventually it breaks out as a butterfly. There has to be some sort of oven that heats you up so that you come out perfect, or so that you come out in a better form. So basically you have to go through the wilderness in order for you to get to the promised land. And here's the funny thing. When you think about David speaking in Psalm 91, when he says, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you are with me. You have to realize, or we have to remind ourselves of the fact that the only reason why he can say that Jesus or God is with him in the valley of the shadow of death is because he is going through the valley of the shadow of death. This is not a call, or this is not me saying, oh, go and throw yourself into suffering or go through stress. But it's a thing where, by virtue of the world that we live in, if we're really going to attain the good things, if we're really going to get those good things, meet those visions that we have, we're going to have to sort of struggle for them. People in different levels or in different measures, people will have different struggles, but all together, everyone will face some sort of resistance or the other. And honestly, there's no way you will know if God is with you if you do not go through the resistance. Imagine watching a movie, for example. Imagine watching a movie. There's no conflict. Everybody just comes, smiles. There's no problem at all. You just go through it. You're just going to look at them like, Again, this is not me trying to glorify suffering. I'm really trying not to come off as, the more suffering in your life, the better the outcome of your life. I'm not trying to say that. My point is that one of the things that make movies beautiful is the fact that there's a problem and then they can overcome that problem. And so there's a version of you, but in order to get to that version of you, or there's a skill that you know that you have, but in order for that skill to really come out all good and nice, there's some discomfort that you have to go through. So there was a Rooted with Nifemi podcast that was sitting on the shelf, but I had to go through some discomfort in order for it to come to life. I had to humble myself. I had to be scared. I had to learn. And I really don't like being a learner. Like, I don't like when it's like something new. I don't know everything, and I just have to start. But I had to go through that. And so this was one thing that God was making me understand, that I just had to throw aside. And it was not just even as regards spiritual things, even career-wise. I just knew that I could be doing a lot better, but I was just very laid back. And why? It was because I felt scared. I felt inadequate. I felt like while I might be doing well academically, I don't know how well to translate into the workspace. So instead of me facing the problem, I decided to just stay in my comfort zone. So basically that was it. He was using I'm talking about God. He was using the Exodus to explain that to me, about how these people were literally willing to leave a land flowing with milk and honey, something better than anything their descendants had or had experienced, and they were willing to go back to a place of slavery, saying that it was better for them, simply because they were comfortable. It was familiar. Maybe comfort is not the word that's striking you. Maybe it's familiarity. Egypt was familiar to them. I heard my pastor tell me, she wasn't talking to me directly, she was talking to a bunch of us. And she says, baby steps are actually bigger than we think. when you realize that a baby's first steps are the baby actually doing something it has never done before, he or she. I think it does not sound right. Like when the baby takes his or her first steps, that's this baby doing something that they have never done before. So it's not just you doing something in a small amount, it's doing something you've never done before. So that's such a courageous thing. But we'll have them to leave their comfort zone, because while they are familiar to sitting down, while they are familiar to crawling on the floor, there's a version of them that can walk, that can run. And so they have to discomfort themselves. So what do we then do? What's the resolution in all of this? I think one is to embrace being a baby. Over the holiday, I was at my cousin's place. They have such a wonderful family and they have kids. One of them is 2 years old. And I loved how she would just always go back to the mom. She would always go back to the mom, always go back to the mom, always go back to the mom. Even when she does something wrong and maybe the mom scolds her like, oh, wear your clothes or something like that. Maybe after she cries, she would end up going back to the mom. So it's like, whatever the case might be, whether I'm annoyed, whether I'm not annoyed, this is the person that will help me. This is the person who I will find my strength from. And it was just reminding me, it was re-establishing all that the Word of God has already taught us about how we should be childlike before God. So it's that kind of thing where I just keep on going back to God. When it's comfortable, when it's not comfortable, when He's chastising me, when He's encouraging me, when He's correcting me, when He's loving me, I just need to keep on going back to Him, because if I'm actually going to progress, He's one that's going to help me progress. So if you're going to leave that comfort zone, if you're going to get through the wilderness, you're going to need to rely on God. And really, being in the wilderness is where you actually begin to appreciate God more. You appreciate Him more when you are in the wilderness than when you are in Egypt, because it's when you're in the wilderness that you get to see Him provide manna for you in such a supernatural way. So I think that's pretty much it. Embrace the wilderness. Embrace the wilderness. And I think I just want to add, pray a lot, right? Just talk to God, talk to God, talk to God, talk to God. Stay in communication with Him as much as possible, as frequent as possible. It doesn't have to look a certain way. It does not always have to be perfect, but just do it. Just show up. Just show up. So I think that's what I want to say. I think it will really help you for this year 2026. You can always come back to it. I think it's something that's going to be relevant even 6 months down the line. Embrace the wilderness. That version that you know is waiting for you at the end of the wilderness can be achieved. So that's a wrap on the episode. Stay rooted. Bye.